Hello, welcome to this PmSoft webinar about the Microsoft approach to business process management. My name's Adrian Cole and I'm a product specialist at PmSoft using their Sequence product. The format of this webinar will take the following. Firstly, we'll have a look at a few slides which will take us through what is BPMS, where does Sequence fit in, and how does it sit upon the Microsoft technology stack of SQL Server and SharePoint. We'll then drop into a demonstration of how Sequence, SharePoint and the Microsoft technology stack can be used within an insurance claims process. This will demonstrate the capabilities of Sequence, and it will also show you how it can be used for case management, integrating into SharePoint and using business rules from within BizTalk. PmSoft is a global company with a global customer base. We're heavily involved with Microsoft and we're a senior member of the Microsoft BPM Alliance. We've had a number of recognitions both from Microsoft, industry analysts and our customers. This is a busy slide. It'll be available within the webinar recording once that has been uploaded onto our website. But just to take you through what this is in terms of the attributes that you would expect from a BPMS. The cogs in the middle of the slide represent the key components which you should expect from a business process management suite. Not all BPMS toolsets will give you the full breadth of each of these cogs, but there should be some representation of each within there. You can see as well from the bullet points that each of those subsections is further broken out into things like case management, drag and drop modeling, reporting and dashboards, and rule debugging and simulation. In terms of the architecture, at PmSoft we really look at this people-ready process diagram at the top of the slide. So you model and design your processes, you develop and deploy, you manage and interact, and then you analyze and optimize. And you go through a reiterative circle that some people refer to as continuous process improvement. Using a tool like Sequence, you can rapidly deploy an application, a business process modeled within Sequence, and then collect statistics or run simulations against that model to further tweak the design. We'll also see as we go through the demonstration in a moment that you can also elicit information coming back from the end users as well. That's certainly something at PmSoft that we think is very important. So you can design your process within Visio or within Sequence. You can go through your standard test procedures to make sure that your business processes are running correctly. You can deploy them to the field, and then you can get feedback from the workforce as well as to how those processes are operating, whether there are too many restrictions within there, whether there are things that haven't been covered off within the initial model and design phases, and factor those into future iterations within that circular life cycle. The lower part of the slide really discusses how tools such as Visio and SharePoint can be used with Sequence to provide the full breadth of design, case management and business process tools. The diagram I'm showing you now looks at the BPMS usage scenarios. You can see that from left to right we go from processes change infrequently to processes changing frequently, and from bottom to top we have an IT-centered approach going up towards a business user-centered approach. Gartner recognized that the BPMS sweet spot is really in the top right of this diagram. So we're looking at processes that change frequently, and it's the business users that make the changes to the processes. Using a tool like Sequence on SharePoint, you can really empower the business users to make those changes, to look at the process flow either within Visio or within Sequence itself, and look at what changes to that process will actually, how those will actually affect the business. We're now going to drop into a demo. The scenario is that of an insurance company, U Insurance, who have chosen to open up a website to allow their customers to report insurance claims online. This is with the aim of reducing the data entry overhead in their organization and of providing standardization and governance to their processes, as well as a case management view of their clients. I've now gone onto a virtual PC, which has got a Sequence installation on top of SharePoint and SQL Server, and I have a number of demos in here. The one we're going to look at is the accident claim demo. First of all, I'm going to show you a Visio diagram of the process flow. We have a website which has been written in Microsoft Silverlight, and that is collecting some data from an end customer. It's regarding a minor accident to their vehicle that they have been involved in, and they need to make a claim against their car insurance policy. Once they've entered the details onto the website, those are going to be sent through a BizTalk broker down onto the U Insurance help desk. The U Insurance help desk are going to review the claim, and they're also, as a result of accepting the claim, also start off sub-processes within Sequence SharePoint to monitor the SLA and to provide some quality assurance. Once the help desk triage has been done, it'll go on to a claims investigator and then a case manager. Assuming that the claim is fully accepted, we'll also notify the customer. First of all, Adam, the end customer who's had the vehicle accident, is going to enter his accident details on the website. Here we see Silverlight providing a rich front end, and the forms are being monitored by BizTalk, which is responsible for orchestrating the navigation routes between the pages and the conditional validation on the forms. Silverlight is a powerful development platform for creating engaging and interactive applications for many screens across the web, desktop and mobile devices. At PmSoft, we're excited about the forthcoming new Silverlight version 5, which builds on the foundation of version 4 for building business applications, premium media applications, and applications that reach beyond the browser. We've heard that Silverlight 5 Beta will be available sometime in the first half of 2011, and more information will be available on Microsoft's Silverlight website in the near future. We're going to step through the website. We've got some, because this is a demo, we've got some auto type coming up as well to speed things up for you. Note that the customer is able to select a list of policy details here, and these are being provided by a BizTalk message broker reading from a company database. On clicking finish, we're again going back to BizTalk, and that's sending a message through to Sequence itself to set up a new process, a new workflow instance within Sequence. I'm now going to go into the insurance help desk as Tom. This is going to be our first look of Sequence SharePoint Environment. Sequence uses SharePoint web parts to surface a wide range of data to the user. Sequence comes with a standard runtime portal built upon SharePoint, but it can be easily customized, and web parts can be reused on other parts of your estate, for example surfacing KPIs on the company's intranet portal. You can see across the top we've got a number of tabs, and I'll come back to those later as these are showing MI, which relates to the process. You can see that the initial claim here has now come through into our Sequence portal. So I'm going to click on that and open up the help desk form. So this is our Sequence form. Sequence itself comes with a workflow editor and a form editor. This form has been entirely created within the Sequence form editor tool, and it can be heavily customized. All of the fields that you see and all of their values are stored within the Sequence database, and when you construct a form like this, Sequence takes care of the database construction behind the scenes for you. If we just go through the parts of the form, on the left-hand side we have some process information, so we have a unique process ID, we have some details about the particular task, dates and what permission you have, and you also have a tree view of the process which is going to be built up over time depending on the route that the process takes through the workflow. Here we can see that we've only just started the process and it's come through to Tom on the help desk. The main part of the form is here in the middle. We have a title, again entirely customizable. We also have a toolbar here which allows you to tie in ad hoc tasks to a process. So you can have a structured workflow but give the end users the ability to do additional tasks. This one here suggests an improvement I particularly like. I referred earlier to how at PmSoft we like to give the end users the ability to comment on processes because they're often the people who have the most experience over time with how the process is performing in terms of the business. Just by putting a simple button here which ties back to another workflow within Sequence which allows people to enter comments which will go through to a business analyst for review, you can really get that feedback. As part of the construction of the accident claim, you'll see here that I clicked on case details and that's brought up a case management view of this particular person, Adam. When we received the insurance claim, as it came through from the BizTalk message broker to Sequence, it also created a SharePoint site for this customer. Within here we could look at all the different claims that this person's made, any documents that we've needed to store for legal reasons, and over time we can build up a case management view of that client. So rather than just looking at individual claims as they come through, we can get a true picture of what this customer is up to. For this particular process, role-playing Tom on the help desk, I just need to verify the details and confirm that the case has been opened, and I can submit that through for investigation. You can see here confirmation that messages have gone out, so we can push tasks through the Sequence portal to other users. We can also push emails out, so we could notify people that they have a task within the Sequence SharePoint site to review. You can also see here that it's gone on actually to two new tasks, the investigator task and the QA audit check task. So this must have been one of those processes, the 10%, that we're sending on to do a QA audit check. So Emma has also got a task for her to review. In terms of the investigator task, it's actually gone to a queue. The queue is formed of 3 people, and this is actually a broadcast queue. So each of these 3 people has received a notification that there is work in sequence for them to do. And in a minute we'll go in as one of these users and pick up that task, which will remove it from the other 2 people's views. Within sequence we have other types of queuing mechanism, such as load balancing, where we would allocate the task to the person with the least work, or more complex scenarios where we look at people's privileges on particular tasks, customer priorities and things like that to determine the best person to allocate the task to. I'm now going to come out of the Sequence SharePoint portal and we're going to go in as one of the investigators. In fact, this particular investigator has chosen to receive email alerts when they get some work. Maybe they're not always in the office, they don't always have access to Sequence or its mobile component, so this email could have come through to their Outlook or onto their BlackBerry, and then they know that they need to log into Sequence. If we open up the email, all the information that we had within the process to date is available when you construct the email in the message wizard within Sequence. So you can see here that we have a number of different fields that have come up, and again down here we have the Sequence toolbar. So in fact this particular user doesn't need to go into Sequence SharePoint if they chose not to. They could authorize the request or decline it or send it on to somebody else directly from their email. I've just clicked on the action the task because I am going to deal with this one within the Sequence SharePoint portal itself. So this is the next form. We've used a similar look and feel to the form. Again, the toolbar at the top, the process details down the left hand side, and there's some details specific to this task that Peter needs to review to be able to complete. You'll also see here that we've got a banner alerting us to this task still being assigned to a queue, so we need to fetch it down, and when I click on this you'll see that we remove it from the other 2 people's views. You'll also see that the update case button has appeared. Within this task we have a customer history button. This is again going to make a call out to BizTalk and pull down details from a cross-company database of vehicle accident claimants. Within this task, I need to perform a number of actions. I'm going to say although this particular person has had 3 accidents, they're all over a year ago now, so we're not going to say there are any signs of fraud. And it was a minor accident, so we don't need any statements. We do, however, need to provide some estimates of the damage and how long it's going to take to repair the vehicle. You'll also see here that we have again links out to SharePoint to look at the case management view of this person. So I'm now going to update that case, and it goes on to a case manager, Mark Brown. Again, we provide Mark with a number of details about the case with the links out to the SharePoint case management, and Mark needs to review and update the process again. Now we've completed the walkthrough, let's have a look at some of the MI, or business activity monitoring, that comes out of Sequence. Sequence has different types of MI. You can have process-related data, such as who's got the process, where the accidents are happening, breakdowns of claims by representative, as we see here. You can also have MI based on the metadata. So how long does it take for you to work on a particular process? How many process instances have you got open at a time, and so on? And those metadata MI are applicable across all processes, whereas a process-related MI is specific. Here we have a couple of examples of surfacing some of the MI. We have open claims by claim representative, so you can see that Emma, Kent and Tony are dealing with a number of claims, maybe too many. In fact, you probably need another graph here which shows how they're actually performing to their SLAs as well. So is Emma a high flyer, or has she picked up too much work and she's actually swamped with it? We've also got a pie chart showing claim statuses. And if we go onto the SLA tab, again some more histograms, but also these gauges, red, amber, green, which gives you an immediate view of how you're performing against some given thresholds. So this is all taking data out of the Sequence SharePoint database, so it's your real runtime data. The data is available to business managers in real time, and it allows them to see what's going on with their particular workflows. You can also tie drill downs onto each of these graphs as well, or gauges, so that you can click through a number of screens and dig into the detail. I'm now going to come out of the Sequence SharePoint site, and we're going to go into the Sequence design environment. So earlier on, we looked at a Visio diagram of the accident claim process. We've now run through this. We put some detail into the website. It came through to the help desk. It started a QA process. It went to a claims investigator and a case manager, and then we sent some messages out to the customer. We're now going to go into the Sequence workflow editor and see that process imported into Sequence, which is what we've just run through. So again, a similar view, the accident claim coming through to the help desk, going out to a QA audit check, going through to an investigator and a case manager, and various notifications going out to databases, communication channels, and emails. Within Sequence SharePoint, we have a number of different activities we can configure. So on the left-hand side, we have our human activities, so forms, messages, and a task, which is a form with a message notification tied to it. Our flow activities, so all the business rules that you might need to be able to determine the logic and the flow within a workflow. And then we have a whole range of server-side activities, stored procedures, the ability to listen to databases for inserts or updates of new records, WCF consumers, web services, SharePoint integration, external services like SAP, and unified communications. We also have some additional tools across the top, such as a debugger, which allows you to run through a process but from the design environment, and simulation tools so you can put in test statistics and see how the workflow is going to perform. All of the activities are wizard driven, and as an example, I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a new message. We're going to have the scenario that, let's say the Chief Finance Officer wants to be notified by email if a claim is approved which is over £10,000. So first of all, I click on message to get my message wizard, and now I need to configure my message. Within the wizard, we can reference all the previous tasks within the process flow and their values. So I'm now configuring the body of an email, and I'm going to say that the claim over 10,000 has been approved, but we probably need to say exactly how much it was. So I can go to my investigator activity and select the estimated damage field. We also need to determine who the message should go to. We've said that we want it to go to the Chief Finance Officer. So within Sequence SharePoint, we can have specific users that are configured within Sequence itself. We can have departments, fields, process roles, so who's actually performing a particular process, so we could send messages back to people if they've completed certain tasks. Employee roles, which is one I need, and other external functions. For the users, we also integrate heavily with Active Directory, so if you're already using that within the organization, we can pull all those details out. So that's my new message configured. I just need to move it into the right place, which is about here. I need to bind it onto the case manager activity. And I double click because I need to create a condition on it as well. We'll need a new condition.